and welcome, this is the Cursed Monk on Guild Wars 2, and today I'm going to show you an area where you can get tier 2 fine crafting materials, which are always in constant demand for crafting, or for making a lot of money on the auction house. So the area that we want to go to is in Keswick Hills. This is located to the south of Divinity Reach, and is the level 15 to 25 area. So the specific area in question is to the south of Viathan Lake, and we'll be going to the Iroquois Trade Camp waypoint. As soon as you get to this area, we're going to be mainly looking at the lake section, located here. After this, there is the area on land, which is located in this area, and there's also the cave system, which runs underneath throughout here. So first off, we will start with this section of the lake, and this is where we're going to be looking for vials of thin blood. So we're going to be going down into this area. Now these are what we're looking for, which is the Ridgeback scales. Now Ridgeback scales are pretty weak, dying pretty quickly. So we're going to swim to the south, going down and doing a lap and then back up. So there's quite a lot of Ridgeback scales to kill on the way, giving you quite a high chance of finding something. So there we have a vial of thin blood. So it's not a very challenging area, this. The Ridgeback scales don't do, well, really any damage. You're never in serious threat. So if you're looking for vials of thin blood, this is a great area to farm. As well as this, there is also the area over here. This also contains Ridgeback scales, which also have vials of thin blood. So we found a few vials of thin blood in that area. Now the next area that we're moving on to is the lake itself. Now the lake itself has a lot of creatures which contain small scales, which sell for about 1 silver to about 1.5 silver. And the creatures that we're looking for is the Crate Nimros, which is the ranged. We're also looking for the Crate Damos, which is the melee, barracudas, the fish, and on top of this, from time to time, there is a shark swimming around, which has a pretty high chance of dropping small scales, so hopefully we'll bump into him. So here is the shark that we were talking about. Now the shark has a pretty good chance of dropping scales, so hopefully we can see that. The shark is a little bit more powerful than normal, however it's not too much of trouble, and there you have the small scales that we were looking for. So you can continue to have a look around this area, and as you can see, there is a lot of these crates around, each one of them having a pretty decent chance to find small scales actually. They go all the way back to about here-ish, is where you'll want to think about coming back, since it starts to get pretty thin in numbers and you're going to be making a lot less money. So we could continue to go around farming these. A quick note on Crate Nimros is that they do throw, as you saw there, a stunning shot as their first shot, so it is a good idea to dodge that as the first attack, as I'll demonstrate on this Nimros here. So I would highly recommend a ranged harpoon gun, spear gun underwater, dodging the first attack so that you don't get slowed down. It's not a very long stun, however it does build up pretty quickly, as you can see the number in this pool. Now another inhabitant of this area is the Thunder Shrimp. Now the Thunder Shrimp contains small venom sacs, however there is usually a pretty small chance of finding these, and they do have a higher health value than the other inhabitants of the lake, so I wouldn't quite recommend finding them, as the other drops are very, very poor for money, gobbledygoo and crab meat. So I wouldn't recommend going for these unless you're specifically looking for small venom sacs. If you are looking for small venom sacs, these can be found from about this area normally following the coastline and going back down. They can also be found in small little patches at the bottom of the ocean, but I wouldn't really recommend looking for those. So, talking about the second area for the vials of thin blood, we're heading down here. So we've arrived at the bottom left, and this area also contains the ridgeback scales having vials of thin blood on them. They also drop other items from time to time, standard weapons for breakdown or for selling. I have found a fair share of yellows and quite often greens are dropped from them, as well as rarer items such as, there you go, unidentified dye. Some people like to sell these. These sell for about 5.5 silver, I believe. I prefer to open them. It's a game of lottery, why not play it? You might get something good. Eggs are pretty common as well. I personally am a chef, so I use these from time to time. As you can see, this area does carry on round to about here is where you want to think about turning back, since this area is just bandits. There's not really that much after this area. So this is the lake. I'd highly recommend those sections. So as a quick recap, thin blood can be found here and here, and if you're looking for small scales, then you want to be looking in this section of the lake, and I would highly recommend roughly around about here. There is a very large concentration of creatures if you're an AoE like myself. So we're going to leave the lake and we're going to head to the next area. So the next area is a land-based area, and we're going to walk along here and we're going to head for this cave here. Now this cave contains wargs, the dogs which have small claws and small fangs as a drop. There is also a cave a bit harder to see located here. So we've arrived at the first cave, which as you can see contains a small number of wargs, but they are pretty tightly packed, which makes AoE damage such as grenades very useful in this situation. So we're just going to go right ahead and farm these. There's a pretty fast respawn time on this entire area, so we're going to go down and around to the second cave, which we can see here. There is the odd warg outside, but I prefer to go for the high concentrations. So this area is pretty good for the small claws and small fangs. If not, give some good experience. A few more hides there. Bit unlucky today on the fine collectibles, unfortunately. That's just an NPC. But never fear, there is another area. Well, we weren't too successful with that. However, there is another area that we can look for small claws. Now this area is located on top of the small plateau here, in the form of, as we can see in front of us, the jungle raptors. Jungle raptors aren't very dangerous on their own. Try not to get surrounded or bump into the special jungle raptor in this area. So we're going to go right ahead and kill this jungle raptor, avoiding the shout, which can cause confusion. Jungle raptors drop the small claws, and on top of this they can drop eggs, which are very useful for chefs. And in the background there you can see a group of 3. This is the veteran murderous jungle raptor. Not too hard to kill, however, if you're not prepared for her, as if you're already fighting a jungle raptor, she can kill you pretty quickly. So this entire area on top of the mountain is covered in these jungle raptors, which is very useful for farming those small claws. Jungle raptors go down pretty quickly, not having too much health. And there's quite a lot of them, so if you aren't too successful, as unfortunately we're being today, then there is a lot that you can continue to farm. So the final section that I'd like to show you in this area is underground, actually in the caves itself in this area, with the entrance located to the south, where I currently am, and there's also a little entrance here by the waterside. Now this area contains these little grubs. The grubs themselves can have small venom sacs, and also from time to time can have small fangs. So there we managed to find a small fang on that one. And we managed to find another small fang on that one. They do drop small venom sacs, and there is, like I said, an entire cave filled with them in here. So if you are looking for small venom sacs, these do have a higher chance of dropping them as compared to the thunder shrimp. So just taking a quick look at what we've earned, we found 6 small scales, 6 vials of thin blood, 2 small claws and 3 fangs, as well as 4 unidentified dyes, and that was in probably 10, maybe 15 minutes. Usually you can search the entire lake, you can take as long as you want, you can just do laps of the lake or just do laps of the land area depending on what you're looking for. So just for those that are interested, we'll open up these unidentified dyes. And we managed to find a green shade dye, a lavender dye, an olive ice dye and a rare country blue dye. So we auctioned off what we found, matching the lowest seller price for a total price of 17 silver, 79 copper. The best seller was the small scale for 1 silver, 65 copper each, which had gone up in price since the start of the video. So I'd highly recommend, if you are just wanting to make money, then you should farm the northern section of the lake, which has the small scales, doing a full lap, killing every creature. The creatures at the start of the lap should respawn by the time that you get there, allowing you to farm this area more or less indefinitely. On the hand, if you're not looking for money, this is a great place to look for the fine crafting materials you may need for a new profession or to further level up your profession that you're currently training. This has been the Cursed Monk, thank you for watching and have fun making money in Keswick Hills.